Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So what we have been discussing so far is the learning of the three types of Bharat Maharaj, the great king Bharata. Okay. So what we discussed so far, King Bharata was such a great king, learned, and he lived such a wonderful life. And then he renounced at the back end of his life to acquire the spiritual career, to more focus and absorb into Lord Shri Krishna. This is not important, it is not prosthetic. So Bharat Maharaj, when he was staying in a Purusha ashram, he saw the deer, the baby deer, which was motherless. And then he kind of started Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This is okay, but there is still noise. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. First one. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So he became so attached to the deer that he started neglecting his spiritual life. And he started neglecting his spiritual life, and of course, understand the human form of the life, responsibility. And we discussed things who were in the scriptural example, who kind of material life, they're giving so much focus on some other thing, and spiritual life was put on the back. And then we saw Bharat Maharaj. He came to the forest to remember Krishna and observe Krishna, but he started getting so much enchanted with the deer's pastime that he kind of forgot Krishna, and what he remembered is deer. And at the back end of his life, when he was like about to die, what he remembered is a deer and not Krishna. And then we discussed the law of last part, right? Law of last part. Whatever the state of one remembers, he attains the same. If you remember Krishna, then you will attain the Lord Shri Krishna. And because of that result, what happened to the Bharat Maharaj is he kind of got the deer body in his next life. But one good thing about the Bharat Maharaj was he got the deer body, but he could remember all his past. Right? Why? Why could he remember his past? Because he was at a certain level of spiritual life and acquired a lot of good spiritual credits, and that's why he could remember all his past. All whatever he has done, he could remember. See, materially, whatever you do, and in the next life, you cannot be carried forward. I gave an example last time. Right? You have again start with the A, B, C, D, right? You cannot just start with the whatever you done last time. You may be PhD, but you cannot carry it forward. Isn't it? Okay. So when he was dying, he actually prayed to the Supreme Lord, right? And then what happens after his death? He gets a third life of Jada Bharat. Bharat Maharaj, who was a deer, now became Jada Bharat. He takes a birth into a pious family, right? So he starts living a pure lifestyle by that. So he could easily remember his past two lives, right? And he even was remembering in previous life, I wasted my life and that's why I became a deer. Now I'm born as a this devotee. Let me utilize this is a proper opportunity given to me. Let me utilize it properly. Right? So Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So he was born in a saintly Brahmana family. And he was purpose. So as he remembered his two previous lives, he remembered that because of some mistakes, I will do these things. So I want to be very careful. Did I speak this last time? No, I didn't start with it. So why, what is the name of a Jada means? Buddhu, है What did you say? True. Jada, that Jada is in a Hindi. Okay. Jada is means Buddhu, thoda sa dull. So he started acting like a dull and dumb, and that's why he's called as a Jada Bharat. Okay. Interestingly, he's called as a Jada Bharat. Why? Because why he acted like a dumb and dull? Can you guess? I'll give you it because he remembered his previous two lives. Huh? Very good. He didn't want to get attached. He didn't want to get attached to anything. He didn't want to engage now to any useless talk, right? And to again become forgetful of Lord Shri Krishna, right? So that's why Jada was very afraid. He was afraid of those friends and relatives who were so materialistically thoughtful and they were not spiritually advanced. They don't have any spiritual inclinations or they were not spiritually advanced. He didn't want to associate with them. And that's why he kind of started acting like a dumb and dull. Right? He acted like he doesn't know anything. And he purposefully didn't talk much. Generally, people, what they do, as soon as you start socializing in the sense, they start doing a nonsense talk. Okay. I was I shifted my company, and by the time you are not assigned any project, we are given one kind of room where you are allotted certain PCs and something, where because you are not yet allotted any projects, because there are like a bunch of people there who are like sitting there, who are newly joined or something. So we were talking, and suddenly one person, like they were like two friends, and they started speaking and they started socializing, and suddenly they started such a nasty talks. And one of the other friend, not friend, I was not like knowing him from the, I was just knowing him like past 3-4 days. We started objecting to him. We even don't know, and you are bringing the conversation to the cheap, low, bottom level. No? I mean, you should have some dignity of how do you speak. That was a long back in 2003 or 5, right? But now I see people, they don't care about who they are speaking to. Even if it is there used to be the private circles where you kind of speak something and like you don't speak something in front of some girls or something. But now the people don't recognize that. They speak so nasty phenomena, even if it is a girl around them, right? That was not then, right? So people uselessly talk so many nonsense things, and takes upon the gossips. Right? So one of my colleagues, what he does is, he said that he was traveling in a train to Chennai, and there are a bunch of people in the train. Right? It was a long journey, so there are a bunch of people who are like a Tamil speaking. Okay, so he knew that they are now Tamil speaking, but he didn't knowingly identify himself as he also knows the Tamil. He just kept his, just grounded and he was just doing his all his work. And I said, why did you do that? You could have just also told them that you are also from, your roots are from Tamil and you know Tamil. So if I tell them, my previous experiences shows, they just start talking gossips. So they just find somebody, some common phenomena, and they start conversation and it goes to such a nasty and low level, right? And that's why I don't want to talk to them, right? So what I do, then he said, what I do is just at ending, as you know, the Chennai is approaching, right? Like last 1 or 2 hours. Then I go and speak to them. Okay, how are you? How are you? I was also from the Tamil Nadu, Tamil, and then kind of take that conversation in a way that it is they are interested in some way Krishna consciousness, and then he says, okay, there's a Chennai, there's a ISKCON temple or this temple, you can chant this Hare Krishna mantra and stop that once. Rather than taking that conversation something else where they want to take it, something nonsense, right? That's why it's better to keep it short, right? In public speech, they always says, keep it short and keep it interesting, right? Don't make it too long, because if it is too long, then the subject matter just goes around. So what was that? Actually, keep it short and keep it short so it becomes, it carries the interest of people, and that's one thing. And basically, to drive your point, the subject has to be what the subject you are handling. Please speak to that, right? Otherwise, the conversation can go into so many things, and you forget what was spoken about, what to speak about. So, the Jada Bharat, he exactly had that fear. Jada Bharat, he exactly had that fear that it will drag into some other things, and that's why he wanted to be aloof from such a things, and he didn't want to be bothered by these things. So he wanted himself to be well absorbed in thoughts of Lord Shri Krishna. So, and he acted dumb and dull, but within himself, he was always thinking of the Lord. However, outwardly he acted, but he was always thinking of the Lord and remembering his glories, remembering the scriptures which he had learned, the sar of the scriptures which he had learned, right? That itself can alone, if somebody remember the Supreme Lord in the heart of heart, that itself can save one from the cycle of birth and death. He knew this, and that's always recalling this, right? So somebody asked, okay, how do you carry out your work at workplace? How can you remember Lord? How can you remember the Lord? Is that possible? You're doing your studies or something. How can you remember the Lord? What is it? How can you remember the Lord? Internally, yeah. Okay. So, a very famous example, our Acharyas, this is, have you seen the 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 woman in the Dehant villages? They carry so many pots, water-filled pots on their head, one after other, like a 3-4 pots. They are carrying it, right? On the other hand, by the other hand, they are catching his son or a daughter, right? And by the other hands, they are purchasing the vegetables and selling out and doing some transactions, carrying that vegetables back, right? So the attention is under while they carry out their daily routine, catching the children and speaking to their children, and even buying certain vegetables or whatsoever, right? But there, while doing out their all daily work, the attention is properly onto the head. All the spots, right? Water pots are well balanced, right? You understood what I'm trying to speak? Yes. While we carry out all our daily things, keep in mind the water pots. Keep in mind we are to be absorbed into the Lord's pocket, right? Because at any moment faith can arise. And we saw the last thought, right? Just we had one of our VK devotee. So he wrote a message 2 days back that one of his Jijashi left his body and asked him how old he was. just a 34-year-old. It was not an accident, it was a cardiac arrest. I was surprised. This at the age of 34, heart attack, and death on the spot. Right? Just see. Right? So anything can happen. I'm not talking about the accident or something, but even usually, just yesterday I got Ankit Prabhu. One of his friends was staying in near to the New Bombay, with whom he stayed for some time. He may be just into his 30s. He had a blood cancer and he left his body yesterday. Let's see. So what I'm trying to say is the death can come at any point of time, unannounced, right? Like a surprise test, right? Surprise test, One of our devotee students, he was saying that, yeah, I'm studying for the surprise test. So do you know when it will be? No. Then I'm told, you cannot study for the surprise test. You have to study regularly. Right? If you study regularly, then the test can happen at any point of time, right? Isn't it? So that's it. So death is like that surprise testing. At any point of time it can come. And that's why he wanted to be always absorbed with the thoughts of the Lord. So he didn't want to get distracted by anything. Even his father wanted to teach him some Vedic scriptures. Okay. Now Vedas is very vast. Now Vedic scriptures are very vast and it takes a long time to read through and go through it. Okay. But he didn't want to go through these Vedic studies. Why? Why? I want you to recall in the spirit of Bhagavad Gita what we discussed. Nagesh, so that I can see you. Okay. Do you remember the spirit? What's the spirit of Bhagavad Gita? What we discussed? Huh? Do we study the Gita for scholarly study? No, not for the scholarship. We study Bhagavad Gita for devotional attitude, right? So, how can you study Bhagavad Gita? Is Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti, right? If somebody who is a devotional attitude and not scholarly attitude, that's the way to approach Bhagavad Gita, right? That's the way to approach the Supreme Lord, not the scholarly way. So that's the reason he didn't want to become a Vedic scholar, right? But he wanted to have that devotional attitude, right? What happens to those Vedic scholars? They get caught up into so much into Vedic rituals, right? अलग-अलग प्रकार के rituals रहते हैं. They get so much caught up into Vedic rituals, they forget the essence behind it. जैसे कि अगर आप कहीं पे साउथ इंडिया में अगर जाओगे, they are too particular about how to do something, right? But when it is told to them, okay, chant the names of the Lord or something like that, right? They're just caught up into so much into Vedic rituals. Right? So they are just caught up. It's like, Bible, Jesus says, they are following the law of the world, but they should follow the spirit of the law. Law of the words means ये ऐसा ही करना चाहिए, ये ऐसा करना चाहिए, ऐसा करना चाहिए. जैसे हम रेगुलर टेम्पल्स में जाकर हाथ में पानी लीजिए, पानी डालिए, ये कीजिए, वो कीजिए, रिचुअल्स करते हैं. But does he try to explain you why you are doing it? Does he try to explain you what's the aim of the life? Does he try to explain you actually how you should live your life and what blessings you should acquire from the Lord? जो भी तुम्हारी इच्छा है वो फुलफिल हो जाएगी. बस मेरी वर्गनी जो भी मेरा ये है क्या बोलते हैं इसको दक्षिणा, मेरा जो भी दक्षिणा है वो दे दो बस. That's not the point. That's not the Vedic rituals are. We don't want to be caught up into that. We should be caught up into the what's the human form of life. Why we are doing what we should be doing. That we should be doing. So they forget the essence, and that's why it is not advisable to have the Vedic studies or Vedic scholarship. And therefore he acted unintelligently, though he was the most intelligent. Okay. Now we are coming back to the quiz. All your mobiles. You have the link. Can you post it again? That link. Sit, Arnish. Everybody got it? Okay. So here is a quiz. Quiz number 13. Can you think of a way to escape a friend who is adamantly calling you for unnecessary event or unwanted movie? A, B, C, D. Think over is a practical. Basically, he's calling you for some event or movie which is will affect your spiritual life downward way. So how will you give how will you escape it? Okay. Okay. Everybody is done? Harshit? Okay. So let's see. The first is I give some excuses that I have to study my subject for forthcoming week next week. The point is it's a wrong excuse because he will say, okay, okay, exam के बाद चलते हैं. Second is I can tell him I am not interested in this. I only like to chant Hare Krishna. This is not a proper way to answer somebody who is not knowing about Hare Krishna and Hare Krishna devotees and your commitment to Hare Krishna. This is not a proper way, right? You understand? This is not the right way. Okay, because they are not aware of what is the importance of chanting Hare Krishna. Are they aware? No. Right? And therefore, even if somebody at a home asks you, to do not to do these things, if you try to explain them कि नहीं ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए ऐसा करना चाहिए वो बताएंगे क्यों मुझको सिखाएगा अभी. When you are mature enough, then you can tell them about the Gita and the Gita lessons what you are learning. But too early, if you start speaking to your friends and relatives and elders, वो आपको फिर से पूरा टारगेट पे लेंगे. वो ज्यादा दिमाग चला रहा है, बंद करो इसका सब कुछ. Right? So this is not a proper way to answer, right? Because they are not aware of the importance of all these things. The second is also wrong. A is wrong, B is wrong. C. I will tell them that I have a slight headache and I don't feel like going out. No. A slight headache. मैं तुम्हारा मूड ठीक कर दूंगा. तुम चल वहां पे सब हेडेक गायब हो जाएगा. Right? Right? You will start feeling better. Come. So C is also wrong. D. Oh, well, I have my stomach upset and anytime I have to rush to the washroom. Can you argue that for anything? अगर बार-बार कहीं पे जाना पड़ेगा, then what's the point? There's so much stomach upset. So D looks to be a somewhat option which is better than any of that, right? Okay. So I feel these the other one. Any of you, or can you think of some other excuses where you don't want to go for an unnecessary event or unwanted things where your spiritual life is at danger? Sorry? Rescheduled. Okay. Yeah. Something like that. Some excuses by which you save yourself, right? Otherwise, what happens? Otherwise, what happens? Like Bharat Maharaj, he was trying to see that, okay, let me just save this deer, right? And we get caught up into it, right? We get caught up into it, and then to retrieve back is difficult. Okay? And that's why we should be very careful of all this. You know? Okay, now see, okay, 14. Why did Jada Bharat not want to have a Vedic scholar, not want to become a Vedic scholar? Yes, quiz number 14. You can answer this. Why did Jada Bharat didn't want to become a Vedic scholar? Yeah, easiest. You're not ready? Yeah, I'm not ready. Okay, you can take the link from somebody. Okay, all right, done. Shall we discuss? Okay, so Jada Bharat didn't want to become Vedic scholar because first is he thought it is very time consuming to study all the four Vedas. Actually, it is not. You know, he was not like for not to study any Vedas, but he wanted to give good time to the spiritual life. Right? So it was not just because he had no time for it. That's not the point. Yes, Vedic studies takes a lot of time, but it's not that he didn't want to give the time to the spiritual life. He wanted to give the spiritual time to the spiritual. So A is not correct. B, he was dull, blind, deaf, and thus he could not be trained in the Vedas. He just acted like that, but he was very intelligent enough, right? So B is wrong. C, his goal was not to become a learned scholar, but to be a devotee of the Supreme God. That's right. The Vedic followers often become caught up into the ritualistic process and forgetting the Supreme God. Yes, that's also right. So C and D are right. Okay. So, yeah, you have some question? I thought you have. Then, what happened to Jada Bharat? Jada Bharat's inner spiritual advancement was unknown to the people. How advanced he was, how intelligent he was not known to the people because he was behaving like this. So he had 9 state brothers. Okay. And these state brothers started ignoring him because he was such a dull-minded. So they even made him a scarecrow. Scarecrow, then they can have a scarecrow. They made it under the farmland so that he can protect the crops from all other wild elements or the birds or whatsoever, right? So they made him like a scarecrow, and he did it. He followed them silently, did everything, but internally, again, he was remembering. He was doing his bhajan. He was doing his singing. He was doing his chanting. Right? He calmly practiced the spiritual life. Why? because he was very much now careful. In this life, I want to go back home, back to Godhead, and not to take any other chance. Right? So, without confronting with anybody, he just carried out. Right? So these 9 brothers, they made him work like a slave, right? And what they used to give in a return is a burnt grain. एकदम कच्चा है या फिर जो जल चुका है जो राइस के दाने, right? वो वैसा दे देते हैं, right? He was insulted and neglected by ordinary people, thinking that he is a useless fool, right? But he never protested. He just continued, right? So he just tolerated all that mistreatment. Whatever he got in a return, whether it is a tasty or not tasty, whether it is a palatable, not palatable, right? He just ate it just to survive on the body, right? And by that, he became like a strong, like a bull, because he was not doing much. He was like a dull and dumb or something, right? So he became like a bull, right? But externally, he appeared like a dull, dumb, like a bull, but internally, he was a very intelligent, smart, and a devotee. Just like, have you seen a valuable chain? Stone, right? When it is not shaped properly, it looks like a rough stone, right? But when it is carved properly, and the picture is not so much visible in that eclipse, that circle. So, if that gem is dusted, will it look good? But if you just uncover that dust, you find it, oh, what a shiny gem it is. Right? That's how he was. He was a gem, but just covered with the dust. Externally, something, but internally, so valuable. Understand the point? Okay. Sometimes we just go by the cover of the book, right? But we don't understand what's the inside, right? So don't judge by the cover of the book, by the content of the book. I'll give a simple example. You know, one of our friend, he got a kind of a greeting from his brother from USA, and that later came and he said, "Okay, that brother already told him, I'm going to send you a gift." And he was expecting like something big, ऐसा कुछ बड़ा size में होगा. वो कोरियर वाले ने बस एक छोटा सा एनवेलप दिया. ठीक है, इसमें कुछ डॉलर भेजा होगा शायद. इसमें कुछ तो वैल्यूबल होगा, चेक भेजा होगा, कुछ तो होगा वैल्यूबल समथिंग. He opened it and it was a simple greeting card, simple small greeting card. What? US से वो भी greeting card भेजा? He was like, shit. So he was like very much trash. He was expecting something, his brother is now USA, settled, well settled, and what he has said. I told him, okay, but still keep it. I remember he saying that way, still keep it, it may be something valuable. Because I was thinking it may be something valuable. So later he called up, later the birthday was like, in the evening, his brother called up and said, so did you get the greeting? He said, yes, I got the greeting. Like in a morose voice. He said, okay. Now in that greeting, there is there's one like a tape, one gap. We just break open that gap. And he saw there was something, one gap in that envelope, so that greeting. And he opened up that gap, tore up that gap, and he found inside was a dollar, some dollar bills, worthy of like, some thousands, he had said. And then he was happy, okay, I got. So sometimes you just judge it by the cover, and I just want to throw it and trash it. Bharata was like that. It was a valuable chain, but just covered with the dust, covered with something. Uncover it and you understand the valuable chain, what he was. Okay, okay, quiz number 15. Why did Jada Bharat not protest when his brother insulted him? Got it? Krish, you want to ask a question? Okay.
Why did Jada Bharat try intentionally dying?
Intentionally
Dying.
dying.
Yes.
Oh, you mean this is suicide?
Yes, kind of.
Okay, I'll come back to this. Nagesh, done? Are you done? Okay. So he was completely liberated from the bodily concept of life. Yes, he was learned. He was above all this bodily concept of life. Somebody is a fat, somebody is a thin, or somebody is here, somebody is there. He was at the soul platform, right? Away from the body. So it's very true. Second is there were 9 step brothers and he was a single and it was a better for him to not to protest. अगर मैं प्रोटेस्ट करूंगा तो ये सब मिलके मुझको धो देंगे इसलिए चुप बैठा था वो no wrong. He did not want to distract this time by anything as it happened in the earlier life as a Bharata. Yes, correct. Four, by tolerating insults in the life, Jada Bharata knew that wages and the food will get better over the time. Let me just tolerate for some time, and I'll get my promotions. Let me just tolerate this boss, I'll get as I get promotions, I will shift the project, right? No, he was not for that, right? Because I had seen the people, they think that, let me change the situations, let me just change the situations and then I will be better. It will never be better. People start thinking, let me change the company, let me change the boss, let me change that project, let me change the house, let me change that, let me change that, let me change the bike. Yeah, divorce and get married to somebody else. Right? Situation doesn't change much. The world is very tough place. The world is bound to be a very miserable place, right? We just have to tolerate it, right? So A and C. So I say tolerating just for the sake of tolerating doesn't make sense. That something will get better. If I just tolerate the situation, I'll get something better in the future. That makes sense. The situations will not improve. Situations like somebody who is staying into the Sayan Kolivada, okay, he shifts to the Varli, okay. There he had some other problems. भिवंडी नहीं वो कौन सा है सैंड में कौन सा ऊपर पट्टी धारावी ना धारावी shifted to Worli but Worli have different problems right if he goes from Worli to the Pali Hills नहीं वो Malabar Hills let's say Malabar Hills you will have different issues there right the issues will be there right issues will be there but there are varieties of issues. There are different varieties of issues. It will not be the same issues, but issues will definitely work in, right? You are all staying in Bombay, and there are people into the remote villages. This is Bombay is a better place. But you know what the Bombay life is, right? Yeah. It is always people are always tolerating so that they think that I will get something better. It's not much. Okay, 16. What should we do when someone insults us? This is interesting. This is very reflective. Yeah.
Are you saying 60 number is not a valid
Really?
not valid?
Okay, let me check that form. Okay, can you put it like a 1.6?
Yes.
Is valid? Okay, 1.6 you can put it. I'll make that change later. I must have put some conditions there. That's about it. Sorry, done? Okay. Shall we discuss? Okay, great. So, first option is, why should we tolerate somebody's insults? By tolerating insults in life, we get career growth and can go to the higher ranks in the company. Something like the previously what we discussed. No, right? That's not the purpose for which we are doing it, right? You're like trying to bury some problem, but will come out in certain different way, right? It's going to bound to come. B, I will give back a greater dose of insult. If we don't do that, people will take us cheaply. Is a young hot blood thinks like this. But a knowledgeable one who is a mode of goodness will not think all like this. Right? So I had told you one story of a monkey sailor. Sorry, not monkey sailor, cap sailor. When he's being attacked by the monkeys and then takes his caps and goes around the tree. How will you respond? In a mode of ignorance, tamokun, how will you respond? You will throw stone at him and try to catch him, right? Will you going to listen? No, right? Rather you will harm yourself, right? So second, in a mode of passion, right? Mode of passion is the mode of ignorance is how the person will react. अभी कुछ नहीं कर सकते, लेके गए छोड़ दो, मैं ऐसे ही निकल जाता हूँ, वो रोता रहेगा, he will cry and will start putting a blame on others, start blaming blame on others. ये उसने मुझको यहाँ पे लगाने बोला था शॉट, इसकी वजह से ऐसा हुआ, इसकी वजह से ऐसा. He is a mode of ignorance person. Mode of passion person is he's so passionate that he want to give it back. Let's start fighting with the monkeys. Will that be of any use? Mode of goodness person is will think over. There is no point in fighting with them, right? There is no point in giving it back to them. What will do? An intelligent trick. He puts a cap, he wears a cap and throws it into his basket, right? And the monkeys also start doing the same, right? That's a mode of goodness person, right? So this option of giving it back is that mode of passionate person. That doesn't work out. Okay. What will happen by that? Only the arguments is going to increase, right? It doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop anywhere. The third option is I will analyze why they said what they said and check who was at fault. If I was, I will say sorry and rectify my fault and try to improve. If they are at fault, I will point out the problem without blaming the person. I will try my best to act like a gentle devotee of the God. Yes, it's just talked about. When I am at wrong, right, let me admit myself and improve. Not just admitting myself, but to improve. And second, if I find somebody else is wrong, I'll point out what was the wrong thing happened. Not that you are wrong, you always do like this. I do not want to blame me. But no, what happened wrong, we'll tell about. Right? Not pointing the person, but pointing to the wrong what happened. Isn't it? That's a more better way to sort out. Yes. So C is a good option. D is I will tolerate and go with my spiritual life. I can't tolerate to spoil my spiritual consciousness fighting back with everyone for small mistakes they do. Very true. We cannot take upon the things with everybody. We cannot challenge upon and take upon every petty issues and put our thought and process into them. Because the issue बहुत छोटा रहता है, but it eats you in the back of your mind. Better to tolerate and give it back. It's like if you have seen that if the wood is burning and there's a small charcoal which is hot, however small it is, if you catch it by your hand, it will only burn. The longer you keep, the longer it will burn, right? Better to throw it away. Let go is a principle, right? Let go is a principle. Sometimes for the young mind it is very difficult to understand, but I will show you some. A person asks, okay, how do you remain so calm and quiet? I've seen in arguments or in fights, you always remain calm and quiet. And what was his reply is, you are right. Okay. So that's the point I'm trying to say, right? Just cut the conversation, right? There's no point in arguing with the small petty issues, right? Okay, I had one friend of mine when he used to sit on a mess table, right? And he used to converse and he used to pick up some topic like that, politics or something, sociology or something. And we tried to tell him, no, it was like this. And he's just waiting for that opportunity and come with loaded guns, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And you're like, my God, what did I say that? And somebody in the table again starts arguing. No, it was like he said like this or he said like that. He will come with all other 10 so-called logical points. So ऐसा logic देते, we are not thought over it. मतलब वो Einstein भी अपना brain खुल जाएगा, right? ये क्या बोल रहा है, right? Some kind of logic they want to try and put them. There is no point. Is that issue really bothering you? Is that really real issue which is very much to your life? Something sociology aside, politics or something, it's just a perspective. Forget it. Forget it. Why to keep arguing? Right? Cut the conversation, put a period. Right? But to put a period is, you're right. Or it's your perception. You're right at your perception. Cut the conversation. Okay. So, I was saying that, So this happened and he was standing like a Jada Bharat was standing like a scarecrow. And as he was standing there, meanwhile, there was a dacoits, some gang of dacoits, right? And they were searching for a Narabali. Narabali in the sense, to sacrifice a human being for the goddess's calling. So, see, first of all, this kind of worship is a mode of ignorance worship. To sacrifice somebody is a mode of ignorance. Ignorance, tamogun, passion, ignorance, passion, and goodness. Okay, so we try to reach the goodness. Passion and ignorance are lower modes. So this kind of worship is lower. Ignorance worship, to sacrifice somebody or something like that. It is not recommended. In the Vedic scriptures, it is not recommended to the Naravali to sacrifice a human. It is not at all recommended. It is nowhere found in the Vedic scriptures. But it is very concocted, speculated. है ना? ऐसा speculation कुछ भी चालू हो जाता है. Not really. There was Prabhupada says this story. He says, okay, in a marriage, they said, okay, that elderly person says, okay, the marriage was happening. He said, okay, now you get a cat. Why cat? Yeah, cat in a basket. You have to keep a basket on that cat. That's a ritual at the time of marriage. That has to, when the marriage yajna is going on, that's a ritual. You have to keep that aside. How is this ritual is? It is surprise. But he says, no, it has been going on. So what happened was, in a previous marriage, in the previous generation marriage, this cat was too much bothering into the yajna. Right? And that's why they had kept that basket on that cat so that she will not bother. But that was considered as a ritual and carried forward on the traditions. So these are the concocted rituals. So that's how this dacoit was also concocted this ritual of doing a narabali to the goddesses of Kali, which is not mentioned anywhere. We should follow the word of the scriptures, right? The spirit of the scriptures, moreover, right? And not the concocted philosophies. So they wanted to do that. So they found one man, but that man got escaped, right? And they specifically wanted somebody who is an unintelligent, dull, and a strong, hefty person, so that they can do that narabali and offer that blood to the goddess Kali. So they were looking for that man. When they got escaped into the jungles, they found this in the farm, and this person, Jada Bharat, was standing the night time, taking care of the farm. They thought he's the best person. They found Jada Bharat, right, and brought in front of the Kali, right. He was a dull, unintelligent, right, resembling like an animal ox. He caught them and got in front of Kali. And when he was brought in front of the Kali, he didn't protest, right? He didn't protest at all. So when he was brought in front of the Kali, the robbers thought, can you read out this, Ritik?
The robbers thought Jada Bharat would be a perfect sacrifice. They bound him with strong hooks and brought him to the temple of goddess Kali. Due to his complete faith in the protection of the Supreme Lord, Jada Bharat did not protest. His consciousness was, my Lord, I am your eternal servant, and if you like, you can kill me, or if you can like, you can protect me. In any case, I am fully surrendered to you.
Yeah. So he was brought in front of the Kali, he didn't protest, right? Due to his complete faith and protection into the Supreme Lord, Jada Bharata didn't protest. So he prayed from his heart, the Lord, right? What is it? My Lord, I am your eternal servant. If you like, you kill me, or if you like, you can protect me. In any case, I want to surrender fully unto you. So this is the path of actually pure devotees. They want to surrender to the will of the Lord. Let thy will be done. Bible is saying, let thy will be done. Let his will be done, and not my will, right? That dependent of the Lord, right? So that is a pure devotee's path. They always want to depend upon the Supreme Lord. What does it mean is, tomorrow you are in exam and you say, जो भी करना है भगवान आप कर देना. That is not a proper dependence. You do your best, right? And then Krishna will do the rest. You do your best. That's important factor. शिव बराबर है ना? है ना? So एग्जाम में ये नहीं कि मैं कृष्ण का भक्त हूँ. कृष्णा देख लेगा. नहीं. कृष्णा देख लेगा कि तुमने पढ़ाई नहीं किया है, तो कृष्णा उसके हिसाब से रेसिप्रोकेट करेगा. है ना? So you do your part sincerely. That's more important, right? So, okay, 17th, 1.7. Question number 17. Why did Jada not protest when he was taken by the robbers to be killed? That's what I said, now 1.7. Actually, it takes some time. Okay. Taken then. I think you're done. Here. Okay, so let's say first, he was a dull and deaf and blind with his relatives and friends. So did he behave with the robbers? Just because he was behaving the dumb and dull. So he thought, okay, let me not protest. I will also behave like a dumb and dull. No, that was not the point. He thought it was the best to give up life as his 9 state brothers already mistreating him. Okay, one is suicide. I'll come back to that. Okay, so that's a wrong idea. See, because of Lord has given a full assurance to his devotee of protection. Lord has given that full assurance. Where in the Bhagavad Gita it says, there he says, I will liberate you from all the sinful reactions. Assurance of the devotee's protection. Oh yeah, one says, yeah, it is a protection, the Lord, yes. Assurance. One point it says, Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. Huh? What does that mean?
My devotee never died.
My devotee will never perish. Right. So that's what it says. My devotee will never go down. Right? He says that. So I will always protect my devotees. Right? Now you may say, okay, how will you protect? Lord's protection, we can't understand how the Lord's protection is. See, when Dr. Ramchandra to the, what was his name? Jatayu. Jatayu was dying, right? What is the protection of Lord Ramchandra there? He died. Did Lord Ramchandra protect him? He died fighting with the Ravana. So did Lord Ramchandra protect him? Where is the protection of the Jatayu there? Children? Lap. He died on the lap of Lord Ramachandra. And that's why he got a spiritual benefit. Somebody who remembers the Lord will go to the spiritual order. Here, he got a death on the lap of the Lord. Forget about the remembrance. Lord is in front of him and Lord is caressing him, right? Lord is caring for him. That means what a great death. That death was not possible even for Dasharath, right? That death was possible for Jatayu, right? And that's why Jatayu's protection, God offered the protection, such a great protection for Jatayu. Name Bhaktya Pranashyati will protect the devotee's consciousness. Bharat, right? You understand the point? So Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. He has given the assurance to his devotees that I will always protect you. One time, one Prabhupada disciple, he said, what will happen, Prabhupada? We are practicing Krishna consciousness. But at the end, at the fag, at the death, if we don't remember Krishna, what will happen? If I don't able to remember Krishna. Prabhupada said, it is not that way. If you remember and practice Krishna consciousness seriously, and Lord says, Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. Lord will force his remembrance into the devotee's heart. Will force his remembrance into the devotee's heart. Right? And exactly such a wonderful phenomena happened when a Prabhupada disciple was very old age, was admitted to the hospitals, going through a lot of diseases and these things. He was at the terminally deceased. He was about to leave the body. And that's the time all the devotees around him, he has told, this doctor has told, he's going to pass away. So he started, everybody devotees started chanting Hare Krishna around him. And then while the ending, what he said, he raised his hand and says, Prabhupada,
will not let me down. Was smiling and saying, Prabhupada, let me down. Prabhupada has come. Right? And he left his body. That point of time, he left his body. What it means is, Prabhupada had promised that if my devotees will not, these devotees will not fall down. Prabhupada actually, that was the point he was saying. Prabhupada must have came into his dreams. Prabhupada must have came and took him back to the spiritual worlds. Right? So Name Bhaktya Pranashaki. Lord will make sure that the remembrance of Lord will be invoked into the heart. If we have practiced it sincerely. Okay? If we are sincere enough. Okay. The answer for this is C. Okay, the D we didn't discuss now. Okay. Duty is complete faith that there was no way he could escape from the robbers now. Duty is complete faith. Duty is complete faith that there was no way he could escape the harm. Why he started didn't protest? Because there is no way that I can protest to the robbers. If I protest, they will kill me. They will run. You know, so I can't run. So basically, so that's the wrong answer. So only C is the right answer. Okay. So Bharata was then given a good bath. He was given a good dress. They dressed him very nicely. All these robbers dressed him nicely, right? Decorated with the garlands, right? Paid him a wonderful meal. Abhi bali chad raha hai. So one of our my old colleagues, I was remembering, he posted one photograph of a day before the marriage, and his friends had made a wonderful cake, and he was like remembering those, and he put that photograph of that cake. But the cake was right now. Your bachelorhood is over. You are not a free bird. And then that bird was actually captured into the cage. That's what is depicted in the cake. So something dressed nicely, decorated with garlands, wonderful meals, right? So, anyways, jokes apart. So he was brought in front of the Kali, and when he was brought in front of the Kali, the head of the priest, gangsters में भी एक priest था उसमें से कि वो पूरा वो ceremony carry out कर रहे. So he raised his razor, right, and about to kill him, the Kali in front of the Kali, that Kali broke open. The deity of the Kali broke open and came. Goddesses Kali personally came, right, and saved Jada Bharat and actually killed all those gangsters. She personally killed all those gangsters, right, and protected the devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, right? That is the faith, right? So that's what faith we should have. A faith like a parents. Like a child, he has a faith in the parents, right? Sometimes the child is thrown into the air, right? Does the child cry for that time? He's very elated. He's smiling because he knows parents will catch me, right? Same way. A devotee of the Lord, he knows, even though I'm in a difficult situation, but my control is into the Supreme Heart's Lord. Externally, the situation may appear, materially, the situation may appear very disastrous, but he will protect my consciousness, he will protect my soul. That confidence the devotee has, right? Okay. So he was always had a confidence. Jada Bharat always had a confidence that, and even Kali protected the devotee of the Lord. So even if it may be a Ganesha, even if it may be any other personality, they will surely protect. They will surely protect the devotee of the Lord, right? Because they admire the devotee of the Lord. Okay. Okay. Question. Question number 18. What will you infer from the instance of Kali decapitating her own worshippers? That means slaughtering. That means what do you call it? Heading or beheading. Done? Demigods means other devatas. Krishna. Nagesh? Chetan? Okay. Demigods are devotees of the Supreme Lord and they cannot tolerate seeing the Lord's great devotee abused or killed. Yes. All these devatas are actually devotees of the Supreme Lord. Right? So, will they like their Supreme Lord's devotee being killed? No. They will always protect him. So, this is the truth. A is true. The B is goddesses Kali could not bear the human being. She wanted the warm blood of a goat and a nigger. That's wrong. The chief priest who raised the razor sharp sword was sinful as well as the thieves. And that's why goddesses Kali came? No, that was not the point. So actually Kali worship is done by those who are mode of ignorance. देखा काली वर्षिप ऐसे रात को करते हैं ये करते हैं राइट ऐसे जनरली इनको तो वो जो ब्लैक मैजिक करते हैं ना वो काली की वर्शिप करते हैं राइट so that is not that's like people who are in a mode of ignorance रात को करते हैं for ऐसा worship so that's Kali worship. So this is also not a right answer according to the questions. So Kali is unhappy with her followers who mishandle the Supreme Lord's pure devotees. Yes, Kali was unhappy that how my followers, my worshippers are handling it. So yes, A and B are the right answers. Okay. Now coming back to your question, Krish. He said, can you say your question?
Why did Jada try killing him? Kind of.
Yeah, because now he knew all things are now in his favor. He is remembering the Lord, everything. So why did he kill himself? Right. So that means a suicide. Suicide is not what is recommended by the Lord. Right. Okay. Your envy comes with the expiry time. Medicines comes with the expiry time. So this body also comes with the expiry time. So this body, if somebody has to live till 50 years, okay, and he commits suicide at the 30 because heartbreak and so many other breaks. Okay. So what happens? When he was supposed to live till 50, what happens? He has taken that destiny into his hand. Actually, I framed it wrongly. So he has taken death into his hand and he committed. So for next 20 years, he will be roaming like a ghost. Ghost in the sense doesn't have a body, gross body, but that settled body, that soul is roaming around. Because his next body will be after the 50 age. That was destined. So this 20 years he will be roaming around, right? As a ghostly body, right? And then what happens in that ghostly body? Will he able to fulfill his desires? No. Then he try to acquire into somebody's body, right? And want to fulfill his desire. And that's what is called as haunted. The person is haunted by somebody. Right? You understand the point? Then, so actually that body is very miserable body. So suicide is not at all recommended. Suicide is a kind of a sin, a kind of a sin. Okay. But you just pray to the Lord. In a Kul Shekhar, he prays. Adyam Kavantate Kapavat Pittai Kantha Varodona Vido Smarana Pugase. Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Pancharantam Adyam Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Pancharantam Adyam Mansirajahansam Prana Prayana Samaye Kapata Pitte Maranam Kudaste. So what is the King Purushaka saying? Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Pancharantam. Oh Lord, I am at this point of time very healthy and my mind is healthy, my consciousness is healthy because I am able to remember you. I am totally absorbed into you, right? So right now you better take me back to Godhead. Because at the later end of my life, what will happen? What happens in the end? You know, when you see the old age people, they are so much in a pain, right? Voice is choked up. Kantha varodona without smaranam kudaste. Kapha vata pittai. Kapha, vata and pitta. These are the three things which Ayurveda says our body is constituted as kapha, vata and pitta, right? So this kapha, vata, pitta, agar upar niche ho jayega, right? How will I be able to remember you, right? So better if I remember you now, let me die now, right? He's asking, but he's not committing suicide, right? Okay. So this is what the great devotees pray. That the point is, at the end time, let me remember. So that's what our prayer should be, right? But one should not commit a suicide. Suicide is totally out of the jurisdiction of Vedic scriptures. It is not recommended to do a suicide. Okay. Any other questions so far what we discussed? Nageshwar.
Somebody is attempting suicide, then you can capture from the body. It will say desire.
Sorry, somebody is attempting suicide then?
So will go.
हाँ,
किसी body को वो acquire कर सकता है.
नहीं बॉडी को एक्वायर कैसे करेगा? क्योंकि उस बॉडी में तो ऑलरेडी सोल है. Then
तो
भटकते रहेगा, भटकते आदमी. I'll give a simple example. Okay, let's say, like somebody is very skinny, thin, is driving a scooty, okay, and somebody very fat and well built, masculine figure, he asks Malik, "Hey, रुक, क्या करेगा वो? रुकना पड़ेगा ना? वो बोलता है ठीक है, वो पीछे बैठ रहा है, बोलता है हाँ चल, लेफ्ट चल, नहीं उसको राइट जाना, लेफ्ट चल, लेफ्ट, सीधा, सीधा, पास पड़ा है, राइट में ले, ठीक है राइट में ले, राइट? So this is what? If somebody has a weak consciousness, his consciousness and willpower is low, what happens? He can be haunted by some other Patakhyatma. समझ में आया ना? वो स्कूटी मतलब बॉडी आपका, and weak person, that skinny person driving means आपका soul weak है, right? The spiritual power is weak. Then what happens? Any Patakhyatma which is strong can affect you, right? And he will dictate you. That's the point. But if somebody is driving a scooty who is very hefty, well built, right? कोई रुकाना चाहिए है, चल बाजू, right? Then somebody who is spiritually very powerful, right? He will not get affected by the Patakhyatma. Sorry, man. Right? Okay. So, and that's what. Now, suicide, somebody said, what is suicide? Why does the soul moves out? Actually, soul moves out of that body because that body is not favorable now to leave. उसके body रज्जियां उड़ गई उसके, वो मशीन स्कूटर पूरा ये हो गया, इसके लिए वो ड्राइव नहीं कर सकते, इसके लिए वो विदाउट स्कूटर घूम रहा है ना, समझ में आया ना आपको? Alright, so that's what the difference between a Bharat ki Atma or a haunted body. That's the point. I forgot to tell that point. Now, that person may have certain desires and wills, right? That wills he want to fulfill it to some point, right? So yes, that happens. That was the means of haunted. He's trying to fulfill his desires and wishes. That body. Yeah.
But according to the law of last breath, he is remembering the Supreme Court.
Who?
While remembering
Suicide. Okay.
so he should get moksha.
So as I said, if somebody is somebody who is absorbed in the Lord, will he go against the word of the Lord? Suicide is not recommended in the scriptures. It's not recommended by the Lord. So remembering Lord at the time of death, it will not happen just by okay, मैं मरते वक्त ना सब तरफ मैं वो हरे कृष्णा महामंत्र का मशीन चला दूंगा, सब तरफ ऐसा पोस्टर्स लगा दूंगा, ऐसा वैसा करूंगा, ऐसा वैसा मस्त सिचुएशन करूंगा मैं. Artificially, however you put, if you are not sincere enough, it will not happen, right? We have to be very sincere enough. If you have practiced regularly, then you will be able to do it. And how you led your life, that's how it will come to the end of the life. Isn't it? Yes. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
हरे कृष्ण.
Duty पाप का करें.
हाँ, वही बताया. Right. Will not commit this. Yes.
How suicide and samadhi are different.
Suicide and
Samadhi.
samadhi. Samadhi is what?
Generally,
Samadhi is given after that person leaves the body, and that too samadhi is given to the great souls, sannyasis. After they leave the body, then they are given the suicide, and then they are given the samadhi. Okay. That's it. Okay. Samadhi is actually what is the peace? Samadhi is in the sense is the highest stage in Ashtanga Yoga, highest stage where you are totally able to remember and absorb and meditate on the Supreme God. That is called as Samadhi stage. Okay. That's called as Samadhi stage. Okay. Any other questions? All okay? Okay. Okay. We'll put a break here. And the next topic, what happens to the king Jada Bharat? He then encounters King Ravana, and that's a very wonderful story, but it's a very short one. Probably in the next sessions we can finish up. Okay. If you have any other questions or something, we can. Okay, there's a question. Jada Bharat doesn't defend at all. Here, is it a question? Why didn't it depend upon? Is that a question, Manda? Jada Bharat didn't defend at all. Yeah, so why didn't it? So, should we also not try to defend in such a circumstances? Okay, that's a good question. So, Jada Bharat didn't protest, didn't defend himself, didn't protest basically. So we should also do that same way. Why? Why so? Do you think that the Bhagwan का नाम लेकर कोई बचाने नहीं आएगा?
ये मतलब प्रयास तो अपने बोला अपन को लास्ट में प्रयास करना पड़ेगा तो लास्ट में प्रयास करेंगे बाद में अपन देखेंगे.
Okay, somebody saying something else? We should try our best, right? But keeping our faith and dependence upon the Lord, right? So, when Krishna says, Karmanyeva Dikaraste Ma Pareshu Pradanchana, you have a right to the duty, but you don't have a rights on the results. I've done my duty, I've done my studies well, मुझको फर्स्ट क्लास आना ही चाहिए. Krishna says no. Krishna says, you do your duty, you write your exams, you study well and write your exams, right? Okay. What the results will come, you leave it on Krishna. That you are dependent upon Krishna, right? You are dependent upon Krishna. You are right to give the interview, right? You are right to prepare well. What the outcome will be is not in your hand. It's in the Krishna's hand, right? You understand the point? Same way, we have to do our best way, right? In a situations when you are, should you defend or protest? You know, you should protest when you should defend yourself, right? When something is in your hands, but keeping a dependence upon Lord Shri Krishna, that just my defensive attitude, just by my own action, it is not going to happen. I have to depend upon the Lord for the outcome. Samjhe? Am I making sense? Right? Okay. So let's say you are put into a very tough project. Now may you defend. नहीं मुझको ये project नहीं चाहिए. ये काम मैंने करना है. कोई एक assignment दिया आपको. And you said, you are starting protesting. There is no point in protesting. You put your efforts sincerely, right? And then depend upon the Krishna what will follow. You know? Even if that assignment doesn't come out successful, but your boss may see it or your teacher may see it, he has put such a hard work, right? Let me give him good grades, right? So things are in Krishna's hand. You do your duty. That's more important, right? Okay. I suppose that should satisfy the answer. Okay. So we not try to defend unnecessarily. We don't try to defend unnecessary petty issues, right? Do it for the things which are of your duty, right? Sometimes people try defending their opinions and views which are of no concerns to their life, like why did Russia attack on Ukraine? Ukraine should have done this. Russia should have done this, right? So इधर ये हुआ उधर हुआ उन्होंने ऐसा करना चाहिए था नहीं उन्होंने ऐसा करना चाहिए था. Your own perception and your own ideas and you have your own these things. And when you put your perception and ideas, people will have their own opinion, and you start defending your own opinions. But really, in a real life, how much your ideas and perceptions make sense? कौन सुनने वाला तुम्हारा? सुनने वाला खुद right? So what's the point in just defending those kind of ideas? You carry out your duties, right? And that duties you do it wrong. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Any other question? Okay. Let's stop here, and if you have something more, you can discuss. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Prabhupada.